It is Equal Pay Day, and the president is expected to sign 2 executive orders, which are going to address at least some small element of the pay disparity between men and women. One is going to bar federal contractors from retaliating against employees who talk about what their pay with each other. The other is going to require businesses to provide data on pay broken down by race and gender to the Labor Department. Essentially, these are going to provide transparency both within businesses and within the economy as to what the status is of women pay scale versus men. You'll recall that the first bill that President Obama signed was the Lilly Ledbetter Act. And this emanated from a case pursued by Lilly Ledbetter, who was working at Goodyear. And she didn't find out that she was getting paid substantially less for the same job as a male counterpart for 19 years, until 19 years after she had started at Goodyear. She found this out via an anonymous note. She sued Goodyear for back wages. And the Supreme Court determined that the statute of limitations started from the moment that she was paid an unequal amount, not from the moment that she learned about the disparity. The statute of limitations had expired by the time she found out. She was not eligible, did not have standing in this case. The Lilly Ledbetter Act simply gave standing, wherein the statute of limitations started to run after you found out about the infraction. Depending on whose stats you look at, if you look at the General Accounting Office or Government Accountability Office, there was a 23% disparity between men and women's pay. A small percentage of that gap is a function of women leaving the workforce to have children and then re-entering later. But about 20% of that gap is unaccounted for, which would lead us to believe that that's a function of discrimination. But even if you look at the 5 to 10% gap, 3% gap, whatever that gap is, that is involved depending on whose numbers you look at, that is a function of women leaving the workforce more often than men because of children. That points to one of the solutions that will provide pay parity. Will be broadening things like daycare, universal daycare for parents, broadening laws that provide for both paternity leaves as well as maternity leaves, broadening regulations that provide for paid maternity and paternity leave. These are all things that can enhance more gender equality. Like I say, there's some dispute about those numbers, but there's no dispute that there is disparity. Some say that it's 23%, some say 27%, some say 12%. Nevertheless, there's no study that shows there is no pay disparity between women and men in this country. And that's sort of pathetic at this day and age.